Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Before we get started with another great edition of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, I do want to let you know, Zencastr.com. That's right, Zencastr.com. They are, without a doubt, my favorite website to head over to for all of these great conversations that you hear on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. Superior quality in sound. Also, they have a great video option as well if you need to record your videos. But the best part about it is the files are all split separately into MP3s. So you can edit them separately, you can put them together, do whatever you got to do. The main idea is Zencastr. Zencastr.com. That's Zencastr for all of your podcasting, video conferencing, even if you just want to have a great conversation with your loved ones. All your needs there online for communication, Zencastr has you covered. That's right.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
He's your Duke to be, a Duke to be forever, a Duke who'll do whatever. His name is Duke Bennett. He'll get all up in it if you desire.
You know, we could not finish out the year without playing that one. Shout out to our main man, Reed, who provides us with the greatest song that has ever existed, that has ever been inflicted upon your ears. Okay? That is the official International Duke Day song, and I really appreciate Reed for that. I will play that every year because of that, man. That's right. Welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin, the show about pro wrestling and everything else. It is the final episode of 2022. I am rolling International Duke Day into this, even though we're a couple of weeks later. But because we had such action going on the last couple of weeks, I said, you know what? Let me hold off before I do the Duke Day celebration. So here we are, closing out 2022. Closing out Duke Day, which I celebrated all month, really, so it makes sense. We're just going to have a good time, man. I'll tell you. Listen, to you and all of your loved ones, hope you had a fantastic 2022, and I hope you have an even better 2023. That is not only the goal, that is the law. And since I am the Duke and I rule over this kingdom, that is what I mandate. You will have a better 2023 than you had in 2022. So if you had a great 2022, it only gets better, baby. That's right. That's right. Uh-oh.
Hey, Duke, this is Brad Sanders, man. I want to say happy belated birthday, brother. I think you just had a birthday, on the 12th, right?
Well, Brad Sanders, the lead singer of the Stray Sons, is this the man, the myth, the legend himself here for real?
I don't know about a myth or a legend, but I am the man. I'm here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. And listen, every year, I know I can count on you to wish me a happy birthday, and I really, really appreciate that. And it's ironic because today is your birthday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my birthday. It's not a big deal or nothing.
You see that? A couple of December babies, man, still making it work out here, right?
Yeah, man, making it work.
Now, it's funny, Brad, because I've been thinking about Duke Loves Rasslin is coming up on the 7-year anniversary coming up in the springtime of 2023, 7 years. And you've been on the show numerous times, and there are a few guests who are real friends of the show. They've come back throughout the years, so we've been able to document their journey, you know, and you're a real special kind of guy because you are a pro wrestler And then you decided, you know something, I'm going to take it to the next level and really, really get into my other passion, my other love, probably your biggest love, which is music. So you kind of put pro wrestling down for a little while here, and you've become this big time country rock star, huh?
Well, I don't know about big time country rock star, but we're definitely pushing hard to make a dream come true. I know that much. But yeah,
Well,
it kind of happened like that.
let me back up for a second. If you're speaking to complete strangers out there, I mean, you're speaking to all your friends here on Duke Loves Rasslin, as you know, a lot of the folks listening have heard you through the years. But if you're speaking to complete strangers, the Stray Sons, what
Right.
are the Stray Sons? Why is it their next obsession? Why does everyone need to stop what they're doing and go check out your music right now?
What man? We're doing something that you just can't go down to your local bar and find. Where you can't even search this. I mean, if I was to pull up my phone right now, you might find one or two bands that label themselves, but we're the kings of shred dirt. We're blending metal, hard rock, country, red dirt, southern rock, a little bit of blues sprinkled in there. We're blending all that together to create a unique sound that just represents us. I mean, you can't go down to the bar and find that. You go down to the bar, you'll find a George Strait ripoff or somebody trying to play something. And there's nothing wrong with either one of these, but you'll find somebody doing that or playing music from the 70s and 80s, which is fine. That's great. That's wonderful. But we're creating music that makes you move, makes you feel something you can relate to, whether you're man or woman. And I don't think we've had that in a while because what you hear on the radio is regurgitated over and over and over and over again. And we're giving you guys something that you haven't had in a while. So that's why we're the next obsession. I think that's why people should listen to us, is because you're going to hear our songs and you're going to be like, wow, that was me. I feel that. I know what that's like. And you're going to want to follow us. Plus, we kind of have that I don't care attitude. We don't care what people think of us or what people say about us, or we don't care what the world is trying to do to us. We're outlaws and we're gonna ride this horse until it dies. So
And folks, just to remind you, I mean, we're talking about a big burly guy here, and Brad Sanders here. And so just think, a guy who is, pro wrestler, can definitely handle himself. But he's on that guitar, he's on that mic, and he's singing his heart out, telling the stories. I mean, really, your music with the Stray Sons is the soundtrack of many lives and many scenes in people's lives.
yes,
I listen to your music and it reminds me of finishing up high school, making that transition into college and just all of the emotions and the things going on during that time in my life. And it's like, when you're a young person trying to figure it out and you're about to transition into an adult, relationships and breakups and highs and lows and all of those emotions are pretty serious, man. And
yeah.
your music captures all of that so perfectly. It's like I literally feel like, man, get out of my head. What the hell are you doing in my head here? Where does that come from? I mean, the songwriting and the storytelling of it all.
I mean, there's only one way to put it, man. And this isn't a woe is me type deal, and I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me because I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm very much happy and healthy, but I have a lot of dark stuff. I have a lot of memories to pull from. I have a lot of situations that I've gone through that gives me the power to create these stories. And I'm not shy to tell these stories anymore. I used to be shy. I wouldn't tell people my issues. I wouldn't tell them my feelings. I wouldn't tell them what I was going through because I felt like a burden to others. Through music, I'm able to tell the story without looking weak, without feeling weak, or feeling like I'm a burden. I'm just able to share it, and it feels good. And it's funny that you mentioned how you were able to call back to your younger years. What you're 38, 39 now. Our music video we just shot for our newest song, Bigger Bitch. We had two 17-year-old girls, an 18-year-old girl, and a few younger guys show up, and they're in their early 20s. and they all resonated to Falling Apart and to Bigger Bitch because they've heard us play them live. And they were kind of telling me the same thing. Yo, growing up, I felt this, or my ex made me feel this way, or somebody made me feel this way. And, and that's what I like about this music we're creating is it's not meant for just one specific group of people. It's generational. It doesn't see race. It doesn't see sex. It doesn't care about your age. It doesn't care what country you live in, what type of relationship you're in. It doesn't care about, anything. It's meant for absolutely everybody. And the only way you can do that is by telling raw, real stories.
And that's certainly what you've done with the Stray Sons. And shout out to the whole band there. I mean, all of you guys are just doing a fantastic job. And it's funny because in 2022, Duke Loves Rasslin, we trended all over the world, picked up by TMZ. At one point, we were in the top 20% of most Google terms in the world.
Hell yeah.
And places like Trinidad and Australia and different parts of West Africa, we were the number one most searched search item for a whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of like ridiculous because it's like, what? Really?
Yeah.
And, talk to me about your music and how it's being received around the world. I mean, are you finding international success at all?
And we are, and the big part of that is the unique blend of guys that's part of this, right? You got me that lead sings. I've got the early 2000s influence. My lead guitar player can do anything from blues all the way up to metal. A bass player is an extremely talented person. He can play just about anything and play every instrument. And my drummer has roots and influences from jazz and blues and rock and even praise and worship. So our unique sound is starting to get overseas. Like Australia is one of our top places. They love us. Canada loves us. The UK, England. There was one time London was the number one city streaming our music. It's wild. Brazil streams. There's 3 or 4 different playlists in Brazil that streams our music. We got fans that's ordered merchandise from a website from different countries like Brazil and Mexico and Canada, and it's like, wow, we've only been to Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. We've only been to those states. Like, how the heck did they find us? We've got over 3,500 followers on Facebook, and if you look at those demographics, they're everywhere, all across the world. And it's like, wow, this is something. for a band that's 8 months into this is something.
Well, and it's funny that you just said that. One of your band members has praise and worship experience, because I do hear that.
Yeah.
I hear that. I hear a little bit of the Fray. I might even hear a little Arrow. I might even hear a little U2 in there.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't realize is actually a Christian rock band.
Right.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I hear those elements in the Stray Sons.
You know what? I was a signed Christian artist about 12, 13 years ago. And I mean, all our influences are just everywhere. So this is nuts. It's just, I love it though. I love when we walk into practice and we start randomly writing a song, and all of a sudden all these influences start to just gel, and it's almost like it's too easy sometimes.
Well, this is wild, man. And I'm telling anyone listening right now, and Brad Sanders was gracious enough. The Stray Sons, they were gracious enough to provide us with a clip. So at the end of this conversation, I am going to play a 1-minute clip of their latest song there, Bigger Bitch. But if you're a fan of bands like Puddle of Mud, if you're a fan of bands like The Fray, U2, if you're a fan of that rough and gritty, country rock, but really the stuff. How do you describe it? Because you have a unique name,
Yeah.
unique way of describing it.
So we call ourselves Shred Dirt, and when we first started out, we tried to be a red dirt band, which, in my opinion, red dirt is Texas's term for southern rock, with a little more countrified southern rock. And we tried that, but when we started writing our music, it became heavier, but we still had a lot of deep influence of the red dirt that we initially started with. And there was some band somewhere, I think in Oklahoma, has it in their bio that they dub what they do shred dirt, and that conversation happened at practice. And I just like, I don't want to call ourselves red dirt no more. I'd rather call ourselves country rock, because a band that's a big influence on us is Giovanni and the Hired Guns, who recently signed with Warner Music out of Nashville. Their lead guitar player is one of our producers, or is the producer for Falling Apart. And they called themselves country rock for a while, then they changed the description. But I was like, you know what? I want something different for us. I don't want to follow anybody else's footsteps. And when Jared, our lead guitar player, brought up shred dirt, I was like, yo, that's us. We're going to start putting that on our shirts. We're going to start describing ourselves as shred dirt, because we shred, we rock, but we're still Southern. And yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, we put that on our shirts and we got a couple different styles. But one of the most popular ones was we had the state of Texas outline on our front shirt on the left breast. And it said the Stray Sons, and it said Shred Dirt USA. And this is what I knew this was money. People walked up to the merch table and go, wow, Shred Dirt USA, that's awesome. I love that. And we sold out. We were in Abilene, Texas, playing at this place called Hef's Burger Bar. And we had about 100, maybe 115 people there, and we sold out on shirts. And it was because they looked at the shirt and goes, Shred Dirt? What? That's cool. And I looked at us, guys, we're keeping it. We got to keep it. And we put it on everything. It's on our guitars. It's in our description. You look us up on the website. First thing you see is the Stray Sons, the Kings of Shred Dirt. And, and I think that's helped open the door up for some other bands that's on the same level as us, because there's a lot of bands who are trying to fit the mold of red dirt, but they're just a little too hard or a little too edgy. And now they have a description to fit them. Because now I'm starting to see hashtag shred dirt. I'm starting to see it on Instagram. I'm starting to see it on Facebook. I'm seeing other bands like, hey, you cool if we use this? I'm like, heck yeah, use it. That's not ours. We don't own it. But shred dirt is nothing more than where rock meets red dirt. And we love it. It's uniquely us.
Well, you got everybody all excited here. So why don't you let the listeners know, what is the best way not only to follow you and the band online, but also, more importantly, to listen to the music? What's the best way they can listen to the Stray Sons?
Well, of course, we do have Facebook and Instagram, and we got a website. We do have a TikTok, which you just type in the Stray Sons and you'll find us. But if you really want to listen to our music, which is what is the biggest helper that helps us get to the next level, we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on Amazon Music. Our sounds are on TikTok. Our sound clips are on Facebook if you want to do a reel or if you want to do a story. Same thing with Instagram. You can find our music just about anywhere and everywhere. And with the exception of places like, I think Pandora is one of the few places you can't find it, and iHeartRadio or two places you can't find it. We do have a YouTube channel. Expect a music video to be coming soon in the next couple weeks for Bigger Bitch. And we have a lyric video up for Falling Apart and just type in the Stray Sons. We're the one and the only. So there's so many options you guys can do. And another thing you guys can do to help us out a lot is when you listen to Falling Apart or Bigger Bitch on Spotify or Apple Music, is share it. Share it to your Facebook, tell your friends about it, help us get more listens and more streams, because in this day and age, that's what gets us on bigger stages.
And also, if there are any beautiful TikTok folks out there who want to
Definitely
do any kind of dances or play the Stray Sons in the background, I'm sure that the Stray Sons would appreciate that. Right?
Ladies, if you're on TikTok and you got a good following and you want to do a little wiggle or a jig to Falling Apart, or a little skit to Falling Apart or Bigger Bitch, feel free to do so and tag us. That would be awesome. I don't know if they're twerkable songs.
Well, you know something? Let's find out right now, okay? On behalf of our friend Brad Sanders and that wonderful band that he's a part of, the Stray Sons, here is a clip from their latest song, Bigger Bitch.
I've tried and tried a million times, but you won't listen to me. Every time I tell you the truth, you choose not to believe. So I'm gonna take this chance to get this off my chest. Honey, if you wanna walk away, then be my guest. 'Cause you're a dream killing, love stealing, siren of the sea. You're a heartbreaking, lying, cheating, blaming it all on me. You better watch yourself, 'cause karma's looking for you. When she finds you, we're gonna see who the bigger bitch is between you two.
I'll tell you, Brad Sanders doing his thing there. You know, the guy's a pro wrestler. He's a rock star, international man of mystery. He's all that in a whole bag of chips there. So good man, good friend of the show. Appreciate that. You know, and I know what you're thinking, folks. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry. I'm going to wait until the end of the episode, and I'm going to play the other Duke Day song by Just Larry. You know, we play that every year. It's a song that in the beginning I couldn't stand, and now that, you know, I've come to an understanding with my former arch nemesis Roman Reigns, come to an understanding with the tribal chief, and I acknowledge him. Now I don't mind Just Larry's Roman Reigns song. So yes, I will be playing that soon and closing out with Tony Schiavone for sure. A lot of music this episode, I'll tell you. But before any of that, let me just say this. A couple things. 2022 was a hell of a year for this podcast. And it could not have happened without all of you great listeners. So I really appreciate you for that. It's amazing. You know, in year 6 of this podcast, going on year 7, we had the most success ever. You know, we had all these Hall of Famers on the show. We trended around the world. We're picked up by every major publication that covers pro wrestling and sports, and crossed over into pop culture with our Brian Kendrick episode, which was just tremendous. And ironically, that wasn't even the most listened to episode, despite the fact that it was, in terms of the most talked about episode for sure, but it was a couple of weeks later that we actually had our most listened to episode. And there's a bit of irony in that. And I'm very proud of that, to be honest with you there, folks, because what that tells me is that we picked up a tremendous amount of new listeners and we held on to them. And that's just fantastic. You know, it's really weird because Duke Loves Rasslin primarily is a pro wrestling podcast, but yet we talk about so many other things other than pro wrestling. This is the place where people can have open and honest conversation and, you know, say things that you may not hear anywhere else. That's just truth of it, right? So I'm not surprised that, you know, week 337, when we had Meredith Bell on here and she talked about being canceled and all the challenges that she went through and the fact that she's bounced back, and she certainly has. That was our most listened to episode of the year. And it's interesting because, you know, we had other episodes that were tremendous. The Invicta FC 48 preview. That was a tremendous episode, right? Isis Verbeek and Melissa Parker. These are MMA fighters. And it's funny because the next Invicta special that I did, you know, about a month later, the preview for Invicta FC 49, that was tremendous because Jillian DeCourcy, who is now the strawweight champion, and also Shauna Bannon. You know, those two, that was a top 3 episode of the year. The folks really enjoyed the MMA stuff, so I'm going to keep that going. I've been doing MMA all along, but I'm really going to be leaning more into the Invicta ladies because truly I respect the entire company. Fantastic athletes. I just think they're doing a great job. You know, obviously we had the creator and CEO on the show, you know, Shauna, and she's fantastic as well. So it's just, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on that I really am just so blessed and so happy about. And, you know, closing out the year, Low-Key. We had Low-Key on twice. That was a big deal. Jeremy Gomez, Styx, Brad Sanders. These are friends of the show. These are people who have contributed to the show through the years. Lindsay Snow came back. We had folks like Kylan King, Miami Sweet Heat, who are now the WOW Women of Wrestling Tag Team Champions, which is tremendous. So they'll be back to talk about that early in the new year. Ronnie Big Bang Nicole, had her on a couple times this year. She's always awesome to speak with, right? Vicky Dreamboat, she's another big star in the making right there. Danny G, how many times did Danny G come on the show? In fact, you know something? I got a message from Danny G. Let me check this out.
Well, that time has come again. It is International Duke Day for the extra special club of the 40 and over. Welcome to the club, buddy. Wanted to give you a quick shout out for your birthday. Wanted you to know that, you know, not only Duke, you're an advocate, you're a voice for people that sometimes don't speak up for themselves. You stand by what you believe in. You fight for what you feel is right. All at the same time while you listen to other people's perspective, take it into consideration, and even if you agree or disagree, it doesn't hurt any personal value or anything. And honestly, to find stuff like that in a human being is hard. So I know we're supposed to roast you on this day, but ultimately you don't deserve it on the 40th birthday. So have a great 40th birthday, Duke. Enjoy it. And just remember, I'm Danny G. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much to our friend Danny G. Wow. Awesome. He's a top shelf guy. Really appreciate Danny. You know, I talk to Danny often, almost every day. And it's just, he's a real cool guy. You know, he and I get along very well. Couple of mass holes who speak the same language, so to speak. So it's always fun to talk to Danny G and compare notes on what's going on in the world, you know. Harry Burkett. Harry Burkett has been with us since the beginning. Nothing but love and respect for Harry. Great guy. Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Just Uncle Harry. That's my buddy. B. Brian Blair of the Cauliflower Alley Club. He came back this year, which was tremendous. Dusty Wolf and his wife Brandy, you know, attorney Brandy Wolf, they came on. That episode 344, Women's Empowerment Legal Center, talked about their nonprofit they just started. That was tremendous. Tremendous episode. Nikki Bushi, right? Nikki, who is excellent at covering pro wrestling and especially is a mainstay around the Impact Wrestling crew there. Nikki always has their finger on the pulse of what's going on and has broken some tremendous news out there. So it's always fun to talk to Nikki. Alan Roulette, River Horse Photography. Again, this is a friend of the show. How many times? Alan comes on every year. And we just have excellent conversation. Shiloh Greaves, first time he was on the show. And also Isaac Bell was on that episode as well. You know, the Outlier. I mean, that's just great folks, man. Great folks. Of course, our friends over at the River City Wrestling Con. You know, Nick, it's my buddy right there. All of the Hall of Famers. Ron Simmons, Jerry the King Lawler, JBL, Booker T. Jeez, you had folks. Effie was on the show this year. Scoot Andrews came back. Kiko Harris. Tony Maglio, another great friend of the show. Jay Bougie, you know, we promoted Jay Bougie all over the place. Matty Rinkowski was on the show. You know, Chris Meany of the Game Plus Network took the time to join us here, and he was fantastic as well. Noah Vale. Oof. another up-and-comer who's actually in the PWI 500, just like Jay Bougie, which is great. Mo Muscles. Okay, our girl Monique, formerly known as Edge's Throat Goat, she actually, because of her appearance on Duke Loves Rasslin, she went on to start her own podcast, and she's doing excellently. Okay, so that was pretty cool. We had EC3 on the show. That was a trip, man. People are still talking about that conversation. Right? Kai Douglas returned, which was awesome. Just, oh, man. Michael L. Ray. Michael L. Ray damn near broke the internet when he came on to talk about what really goes on the independent wrestling scene down in Florida. Queen Marie, Middle Kingdom Wrestling, China. It was awesome to speak with her. The Renegade Twins, of course. You know, my little sisters there. Appreciate and love them. Respect them. Great ladies there. Who else? Captain Jack Claffey. You know, went from pro wrestling to bare knuckle, and he just had an MMA fight as well. So Jack is trugging along there. It was awesome to have him on the show. Uncle Money and Zombie Dragon of Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China. Rob Shiano and Kazi, who were from the Shimmer movie. That was a trip. Now, I had some folks coming on talking about their sci-fi movie. Of course, the wrestling chick Mimi. That's my sister right there. Love and appreciate, respect her. Awesome conversation we had. Definitely look forward to having her back on the show soon because she's just fantastic. Stephanie Hardy, who continues to, churn out some of the best wrestling content out there. And I encourage everybody to check her Hardy Wrestling Pod out because she's always putting some great stuff out there. RJ Sullivan, another fantastic guest. He helped us in the beginning of the year. And RJ is a tremendous writer, production guy, Swiss Army knife, so to speak. Certainly. Walter Yeats, he came on the show. Although that was towards the end of last year. I think he closed out the year for us last year, which is pretty cool. But, other than Danny G, I got to say, Rob the Genius, a guy who has come on the show to document women's wrestling and has done such a tremendous job of keeping us informed of who is promoting women's wrestling. Forget about your emotions, forget about your opinions, just go on by the facts. How many women are you featuring on your television show? How many, minutes are they getting? And who's doing it right? How many women total? How many different women are being featured? Rob has been tracking that and keeping us informed. And I'll tell you, man, I tip my hat to Rob because people talk about him constantly. In fact, even today, somebody was making reference to the fact that Rob is tracking this information. So that's pretty cool. We had cosplayers, the Queen of Yeats. She came on the show. That's a major Twitch streamer and cosplayer, which is pretty awesome, right? Scotty Sparks, who unfortunately, Scotty she injured her knee, so she's on the mend. But Scotty Sparks, it's ironic. Scotty Sparks, she had one of the most listened to episodes of the year. And in fact, for most of the year, she had the most listened to episode. Which is very interesting because that episode had Scotty Sparks and Jeremy Prophet. Jeremy Prophet, the Canadian pro wrestler who came on the show to promote wanting to get an opportunity to train at the Nightmare Factory and hopefully, get some reps in over in All Elite Wrestling. Jeremy Prophet has done it, right? He won that contest. And thank you to everyone who listens to Duke Loves Rasslin because we definitely contributed to him successfully winning that contest. He generated enough buzz coming on this show and all the other things he was doing to promote himself, and he won. And let me tell you something. It's not as if they wanted him to win, because certainly coming on Duke Loves Rasslin, Tony Khan and all of his affiliates there, QT Marshall, they're no friends of mine. But it was you, the listeners, who really supported this young man and Jeremy Prophet to help push him through, which was fantastic. And again, Scotty Sparks, she's on the mend and my heart goes out to her. Can't wait to have her back on the show because a lot of people are interested in hearing from Scotty Sparks and knowing what she has going on. Very bright future for that young lady, for sure. The big hoss, Don Holden, he, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling and everybody from their Midnight Special, all of those folks from Dog Pound Championship Wrestling who have graced us this year. Thank you. Our big brother, Jermaine Every, this sports journalist, analyst, passionate pro wrestling fan, the whole 9 yards. It was great to have him on the show. We had a tremendous year. We had a tremendous year here on Duke Loves Rasslin. Shout out to Jay, the Rebel Collector, and his wonderful family as well. Great folks, all of them, whole crew there. We had a great year. And it's funny because in 2023, I'm turning up the heat. We're going to get more investigative. That's first of all. There's a couple of stories that I'm working on, and we're definitely going to be breaking some news in that regard because there's some things that are going to get exposed on this show for sure. We're going to have even more high-profile guests on the show, and I'm going to tell you something. John Cena was slated to be on the show this year in 2022, and unfortunately, a lot of the turmoil that happened in the WWE, that got put on the back burner. But it is not completely gone. So I'm telling you right now, I fully expect John Cena to be a guest on Duke Loves Rasslin in 2023, which is timely because John Cena is going to be wrestling his first match in over a year on SmackDown this week, and I think he's probably going to be part of WrestleMania. So stay tuned for that. I absolutely intend on speaking to my fellow masshole John Cena in 2023, which would be nice. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson, just know that, I expect to hear you on the show in 2023 as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot going on. And it's just tremendous that the growth that we've had. I always tell people, I hope your best days are ahead of you, right? That's my wish for everyone. Your best days, no matter what happened to you in life, you could have had an incredible day today, but your best day is actually ahead of you. It hasn't even happened yet. And certainly for this show, that's what's been going on. It is very difficult to outdo whatever you did the year before. When you first start a podcast, it's possible in year 2 to do better than year 1. You hope to do that. It's possible in year 3 to do better than you did the previous 2 years. But to be almost 7 years in and we're doing better than we ever did before, we're getting, more traction, more coverage, we're getting higher profile guests. It's just tremendous because this show is built upon storytelling and talking to real people about real life things. And then comparing notes online, all our interactions. And a lot of you will love to line up to debate me about something or disagree with me about something. And, I don't mind that. It's cool. As long as you don't start cussing and acting like a humanoid, pull up your skinny jeans because that I'll send you packing. That's it. Right. But that's all part of the fun of the whole thing here. Duke Loves Rasslin is not my show. It's our show. And that's my attitude towards this thing, and I think that's why it works. And it's very strange because more women listen to this show than anyone else. And that just does not make sense for a quote-unquote pro wrestling podcast until you consider the fact that the quality of conversation that happens on this show, and you just heard it just now even with Brad Sanders, the quality of conversation that happens on this show, in my opinion, you're not going to get anywhere else. There's a lot of people who regurgitate the same pro wrestling stories over and over and over again. Yeah, different perspectives. But how many times can you hear about that before it's like, all right, that's enough? Everybody's dissecting the same thing. Everybody's copying the same thing. You got the angry male wrestling fan who knows it all, right? And then you have the people trying to mimic that. This one's trying to break news. This one's making up nonsense to try to sucker people out of their money, right? That's what this entire community is littered with, just a bunch of nonsense. And thank goodness that there are some people out there who are putting out quality content that you can actually learn something from and actually participate in and get wrapped up in. So that's my focus every week. And, I'm not going to pretend like I hit the mark every time. Every single week I learn something new. Every single week I find something I can improve upon. But I'll tell you what, there's no doubt about the fact that I'm putting in the effort every time. I respect you enough to do that. Appreciate you sticking with me on this journey. It's only getting better, which is tremendous. Again, it boggles my mind, the fact that we continue to grow. You know, Duke Loves Rasslin has remained in the top 10 of all sports podcasts in 16 different countries in 2022. That is incredible. I am not Joe Rogan, right? I'm not Stephen A. Smith. I'm not Mike Greenberg, right? I'm not Michael Kay. I'm not any of these guys. I don't have some major backing or anything like that. I'm me. That may change in the not too distant future. And if it does, it's because of the support and the love and appreciation that you folks have shown me out there. And it has not gone unnoticed. I try to interact with all of you as much as I possibly can. You send me something, I respond. You give me a suggestion, you hear some of those pivots as the show progresses. Absolutely. You know, again, this is our show. So, with all of that said, to close out 2022, to close out International Duke Day, folks, please don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. Be careful out there. Watch your drinks. Watch your neighbors drink. If you're out and about somewhere and you see somebody slipping something in somebody's drink, you need to speak up about that. Okay? You need to speak up about that. Be kind to yourselves, and then be kind to others. We are going to play the other International Duke Day song by our man Just Larry. Then after that, the final word of 2022. We close it out with our main man, Tony Schiavone. Take it away, gentlemen.
Duke, this is your favorite listener, Just Larry. Just Larry knows you're celebrating your birthday, so Just Larry's going to sing you a special rendition of a song written, produced, and performed by, you guessed it, Just Larry. And it goes a little something like this. Roman reigns, Roman reigns, Roman reigns, Roman reigns, Roman reigns. Duke, remind me to sing you a special copy of that one just because Just Larry knows it's going to be a smash hit. No need to say thanks, Just Larry knows you like it.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.